Hello and welcome back to Marketing Matters, the show that encourages you to take a deeper look into your marketing. Today, I'm not joined by Dan. We have a very special guest, David O'Brien. David, welcome.
Hi, Ash. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. David, for anyone that sort of doesn't know you or unsure who you are, what you do, give us a sort of an overview as to say what you do Monday to Friday, day to day.
So, I'm a business consultant, business coach, whatever you want to call it. I work with business owners and leadership teams to help them understand what they need to focus on in their business. I think when you're running a business, it's so easy to get sucked into the day to day and not think about what you need to be doing to get where you want to go in 5 years' time and start planning to that. So, you're running two businesses, the one you have today and the one you're going to have in 5 years' time. Yeah. And if you're just focused on what do I need to get finished by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, what do I need to do tomorrow, what do I need to catch up over the weekend, then you may be making wrong decisions on a day-to-day basis. So it's just allowing people to step back and look at the bigger picture, really.
Oh, bro. So is that what's your sort of background then? How have you got into doing that sort of?
So I've done a lot of different things. I suppose prior to doing this, which I've done for about 8 years, I worked for a healthcare IT company. So when you go to your GP, your clinical record is on a system. That's what we did for more than half of the GPs in the country. And I worked in L&D, I worked in sales, I worked in operations, I worked in project management. So I saw lots of different aspects of the business, and we grew from 200 people to 2,000 people from one company to a group of companies. So I saw how a business changes as it grows and the challenges that it comes up against, and also got experience of all different parts of business. So I don't think I'm a specialist anything. I'm a generalist, so I can
can help in many areas.
I think that's it.
Oh, brill. So main reason really that we've got you on, not only just to to see you and to see how you are, is AI. Now me and Dan did an episode a while ago now about AI and a bit of a sort of a general introduction. And off the back of that, we were like, we know exactly. We need to get David on. We need to get David on because we only know so much, and we know you've got a wealth of knowledge in that area. So let's, I guess, start by going through, I guess, a bit of a brief overview in what AI is, in case anyone isn't necessarily aware of it. So it's probably one of those things that people are using or are, aware of more than they think.
So I think we've used AI has been around since the 1950s, but it's not been on most people's radar, and we've used it without knowing that we're using it in things like Alexa and YouTube, choosing which videos to show us next or to suggest that we watch. But it really came to everybody's consciousness, or to a lot of people's consciousness, with the launch of ChatGPT, which is where most people start with it. But artificial intelligence is the ability of machines to do things that we used to think you had to have a human for. So the ability to talk and have a conversation like this, the ability to create, the ability to think, to make decisions, to solve problems. So that's what AI is really, the ability for a machine to do human style thinking, to do things that we used to think a human brain was needed for.
Yeah, and it's growing rapidly, isn't it?
Yeah, I think more and more people are aware of it.
Nowadays,
ChatGPT has really opened the floodgates for people to look at it and suddenly just be able to type in what's called a prompt. That's the information that you give to it, the instruction that you give to it, and then just see it generating language in real time. That was a revelation to a lot of people, which opens the gates to look.
I think it's what
else
that
it can do.
Nice small step, almost in a way, where it's a nice easy thing for people to get used to on a personal level and also on a business level.
But I think when you start doing it and you see the speed at which it works and the quality, and I know a lot of people will criticize what artificial intelligence produces, but the quality of it is very, very high, and it's only going to get better. One of the things we say is this is the worst it'll ever be. It'll be better tomorrow. It'll be better next week. So how important then is it really that we get used to it in a way? It's going to change your business.
Yeah,
it's going to change my business. It's going to change everybody's business. But beyond that, it's going to change everybody's life. It's going to change the way we live. So Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Google, who should know what he's talking about, says that he regards AI as the most profound technology, more profound than fire or electricity. So if we look at the history of the human race, there were two big inflection points: the discovery of fire, the discovery of electricity, and they changed a lot. So with the discovery of fire, we could have heat when we were cold, we could have light when it was dark, and most importantly, we could cook food. And what that did is it allowed us to digest food better, therefore divert energy from our digestive systems to our brains and grow the largest brains on the planet, which allowed us to take over the planet. So before we had fire, we didn't rule the planet.
No, yeah.
So, but then we found lots of other uses for fire, so we could create then steam engines, heating up water and using the steam to. So it was a foundational technology that allowed us to do a lot of other things, to burn coal, and power stations still burn coal and things to to create energy for us. And electricity, the same thing. It was a foundational technology that allowed so many other things to happen. So people are watching this on YouTube or wherever, and they're doing that because they have something that's plugged into electricity or has been powered by electricity. We're recording this using electricity, and then it's being beamed up into the cloud using power. So it's when electricity was first discovered and first used, people didn't know what it would be used for.
No.
They didn't know all of these things that we see today. And that's the same with AI. We can see bits of what it does today, but where it'll take us in the future, we don't really know.
Astronomical.
It's going to do things that we can't comprehend at the moment, and it's going to do it at a speed we've never seen before.
Yeah, we mentioned before we started recording. I think I'd seen like a stat of Mo Gaudat, who said that the AI.
Yeah, so we measure intelligence in a number of different ways, but the one that most people are familiar with is what's called the Binet scale, the IQ scale. If you do a Mensa test, and the standard in that is 100. So if you're below 100, you're below normal intelligence. If you're above 100, you're above average intelligence. But IQ is already at the high end of, AI is already at the high end of human IQ. And Mo Gaudat, who's an expert in AI, says that the IQ of AI is going to double every 5.7 months. So it's very quickly it'll be off the scale. It'll be much, much cleverer.
This time next year it's going to be things, it's going to be completely different, I guess, to what we're used to now. As I say, I think a lot of businesses probably have used ChatGPT, or at least have been aware of it and maybe have dipped their toe in the water with that. So what other, I guess, sort of channels and what other softwares is there really available? I mean, I know there's loads. There's absolutely loads. You could go for hours and hours on end.
So I think the first thing to say is there are two basic types of AI. There's generative AI and agentic AI. And most AI that's around at the moment is generative AI. And what that means is it creates something new. And this is one of the areas where it's different to technology that we've seen before. Technology we've seen before, where you program a computer to do something, it can do very complex things, but it can only do what it's been programmed to do. AI can do things that you don't program it to do because it can learn for itself. It can make decisions as it goes. So generative AI is not about like a Google search where it'll go and find something that's already been created and show it to you. It will go and take all of the information that it's been given, massive amounts of data points and data sets and the internet and books, etc., and it will use that to generate something new, to generate new content. That ChatGPT generates text, but it can also generate images. It can generate sounds, whether that's voices or whether that's music or whether that's sound effects. It can generate video, and it can generate computer code. In fact, a lot of computer code these days is written with AI.
Well, we've spoken to we know a few people that work with code, and it's almost transformed.
It is.
Because
it's transformative.
they're just able to. They know what they're doing is correct. They can put it into ChatGPT and anywhere else, and it will pop out.
And I think this is one of the things at the moment is I can generate code using ChatGPT. I can say generate me code for whatever I want to, and it'll do it. And fantastic, it'll do it in seconds. I haven't got a clue whether it's right.
No.
So at the moment, we're at a stage where you need AI plus an expert.
Right.
So we really need somebody who understands code to check the code. We need somebody who, if you're creating marketing content, understands marketing to know whether it's good content or bad content and how it needs to be edited or updated.
And do you think we will get to a point where you almost eliminate the need for?
I think we will. That's the scary bit, that if its IQ is doubling every 5.7 months and it's getting better and it's learning from its mistakes and we're training it, it's learning for itself, then at a point humans make mistakes. We'll get to a point where AIs make fewer mistakes than humans. We're already seeing that in self-driving cars. Self-driving cars have fewer accidents, make fewer mistakes than humans do.
They're crazy. They are. Just seeing someone drive down the road, but there's no one in that driving seat. Is
But we'll get used to that, and it's.
But yeah,
we see it as a transformative technology for people who can't drive, people who, when you get old or you're disabled or you may not be able to drive, but you can still make those journeys with self-driving cars in the same way. So it's going to open up a lot of avenues for people as well.
Yeah. So in terms of small businesses or businesses, I guess that might be listening or watching this, sort of, what are some of the benefits, I guess, of using AI and utilizing it? Because there's many out there, and especially at this time, we said about it being maybe AI curious rather than an expert, because there's very few people that will be absolute experts, and well, there'll be no one really that knows absolutely everything. Really, but if you start to be AI curious, you're sort of ahead of the curve. So how can people use that to their sort of advantage?
I think, as you say, the first thing is to be AI curious. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be skeptical about it. Don't say, oh, I'll leave it till later. Now is the time to engage with AI, find out about it, try ChatGPT, and then there are other what are called large language models. So ChatGPT is a large language model, as is Grok from X, which is Elon Musk.
Yes,
as is Anthropic, so Claude from Anthropic, Llama from Google, etc.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No, Google is Gemini, Llama is Meta, Facebook.
Right.
And that's, one of the things is, and ChatGPT is from OpenAI, who were originally funded by Microsoft. Right. And it's those big organizations, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Google, etc., who are putting money into this because they know that that's where the future is. They know that's where the power is going to lie.
Yeah, the big boys are putting putting so much sort of
which is one of the reasons that it's going so quickly. But coming back to your question, which was for small businesses, I think at the moment, generating content and helping you with your marketing is a great way to use that and to start thinking and generating images from scratch. But it's productivity gains. It's a creative partner. I think if you start to treat whether it's ChatGPT or another large language model just like somebody to talk to and have a conversation with, the ideas that it comes up with and the speed at which it can put together a PowerPoint deck for you to edit or a plan, a timeline for something for you to work with.
Yeah.
It's just like having somebody helping you and doing the grunt work, and you go, oh, that's great, but I'll just change that and I'll change that.
That's something definitely that we've used it for, is getting over. We talk about the sort of blank page syndrome of trying to, whether it's creating a whole lot of new ideas, if it's marketing, podcast ideas and stuff like that, then we might go, right, okay, let's put it into ChatGPT, put a prompt in that's going to give us a list. 30 or whatever ideas, and we'll shift through them and see which ones we like, we don't like, and it just gets us over that line, and it's still a good starting point.
And one of the keys to it is what's iteration, which is going back and asking it to try again, asking it to do something different, asking it to give you another 10 ideas. And one of the great things about AI is it doesn't get frustrated when you do that. If you got Dan to give you 10 ideas for podcasting, you looked and said, well, I don't like those, can you give me another 10? Oh, I don't like those, can you give me another? At some point Dan would say, come up with your own blooming ideas.
Oh yeah, he'd use some
AI
expletives on
it. It just keeps coming back. It just keeps coming back and giving you more information, iterating, trying to get better at what it does.
And it's probably in that way, it's learning what the human.
It's learning from you what you want, and and your own AI. It's learning personally what your preferences are, so it can learn your language, it can learn your tone, it can learn your style, your brand voice, etc.
And I know with us, we used obviously we used Adobe Creative Suite quite a lot, and when they brought out sort of the talk about sort of generative, the generative expand, the generative AI, that was almost game changing for us, just because if someone sent us a client, we need a landscape image for a website, and they send us a portrait one, we don't need to go back to them and bug them and go, actually, can you take a photo again, but do it landscape? We can just chuck that into Photoshop, generative expand it, and it in the main will do.
And I think that's key there. I think there are three things. One, be curious about it, try it, get used to it, watch YouTube videos on it, just immerse yourself in AI and understand what it is and how it works. The second one is, don't just look at what does AI do, but look at what do I do. So what's on my task list that it would be great if somebody could help me with, and what of that can AI do? So you're not starting with, oh, here's an AI tool, how can I use it? But what do I need to do? Is there a tool that helps me?
Yeah.
And then the third thing is look at your existing tools, because all of the systems that you use at the moment, they know about AI. they're going to add AI into them because they don't want you going off and using a different system that does do AI, or using an AI or creating something yourself. They want to keep you using, whether it's Adobe or whatever. So all of your existing suppliers will be adding AI bits into what they do. So keep an eye on your existing systems and see that you're not reinventing the wheel, that they're actually putting stuff there for you to do.
And they'll be there, say, to help at the minute, say to help you. It's not, it was said about there's the element of, you know, it's AI, and then you still need that human, you know, sort of element to it. So that's where, say, small businesses can really take advantage, because they're able to.
It's leveling the playing field a lot, I think, for small businesses, because it's giving you that capacity and giving you creative tools that big businesses have always had.
Yeah.
But small businesses now are able to do it. It also gives another advantage, because one of the problems of AI, I don't know how much we'll talk about the problems, but
we'll get there.
Is that, you know, you can create images, and we've seen images of Donald Trump as the Pope and with his lightsaber and that sort of thing, which are fairly ridiculous. But soon, and probably within 2 years, we'll get to a point where we really don't trust anything we see on a screen. You say, is that a real person or not? Is that the real Ash, or is that Ash's avatar having a podcast with David's avatar and they're having a game of table tennis or something?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But that is a great advantage for small businesses, because for bigger businesses, they're all about what's on the screen, because that's what you see of them, what's on the internet. But for small businesses, we meet people face to face. So we'll trust people we can touch. People we can see that we know are real, whereas we'll be much more skeptical about anything we see on a screen within a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, and to say for small businesses, it's going to enhance the trust element is going to be much heightened.
And that's the thing, is to work on your interpersonal skills, your emotional intelligence, the things that humans have that machines can't do.
Yeah, because that'll become
where the value is.
Yeah, that will be so important for small businesses, because for us, you know, we use it for we'll be saving time, doing different jobs, but say that human element of someone coming in and having a meeting with us, and then trying to gain their trust from that.
And the time that you save gives you more time to have those human elements, to go and meet people, to have one-to-ones, to chat, to think.
Yeah.
To come up with ideas and just throw ideas about. If you've got an AI that's able to do a lot of the grunt work, if you like, the manual tasks that take a long time or a bit tedious, it frees up time for creativity, it frees up time for thinking, it frees up time for relationships.
Yeah, and I know that's kind of where I think me and Dan are sort of at the minute, where we're trying to find, and with your help, trying to find, I guess, where can we use AI for them sort of more tedious tasks, so that we can go out, meet people, and actually have, again, create them partnerships and relationships with people. That means that it's that they trust us a lot more. You know, we like to think ourselves as trustworthy a duo, but we can just enhance those relationships and say that's where small businesses in the future will.
And that's partly where, so I said there are two basic types of AI, generative and agentic, and that's one of the areas where agentic AI is going to help. So generative, we're starting to get used to. We've seen ChatGPT, we know it can produce text. People will then go and find, it can do music, it can do videos, it can do some amazing things. But it still only does what you ask it to do.
Yeah.
It can go and be creative in that, can make some decisions within that, and it can learn how to do it better. But agentic AI is then able to go off and do things for you. So you can set it tasks to go and do some research and find out this, and then produce your report on that and come back to you. Or you can set it to every day, go and find the top 10 stories about such and such and deliver them to you, or to book you a holiday.
Yeah.
So ultimately there will be, and we're sort of starting to get this now, that you'll be able to say to an AI, book me a holiday. I want to go a week in Mallorca in August. Here's my budget. These are the kind of areas and things I like to do. Just find me a flight from either East Midlands or Stansted, and book it. And it will be able to go away, have a look at it. And if you want to put what's called a human in the loop, it can come back to you and say, here are the top 5 that I found, which one do you want?
Right.
Or if you give it permission and give it your credit card, it can just go and book it for you. And actually, there are a couple of credit card companies now that have created AI credit cards for you to use, for your AI to use.
Right, okay.
Specifically.
Oh, wow.
So we'll it sounds weird at the moment, but we'll get more used to having an AI agent of some kind, whether we talk to our phone or whether it's some other device, and we may get a totally new type of device. There are companies, businesses, big businesses. Johnny Ive, who used to work for Apple, is working for a business that's trying to create a different type of device that's not a smartphone, but is going to be where the AI agent sits.
Right, okay.
So we'll get used to talking to, it might just be your glasses, Ash.
Yeah.
They're already Meta Ray-Bans and things like that. So we've already got smart glasses that will put a screen up in front of you, or we'll take a photo of what you're looking at and tell you about it, or you can do phone calls through it, etc. So we will get used to talking to bits of kit as though we're talking to a person and getting them to do stuff for us.
Well,
so you'll be saying to your glasses, can you book me a holiday?
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Or you'll be in Tesco and you'll be talking to your fridge to see if you've got any, how much milk you got left, if you need to buy it today or not.
Yeah, God, it's crazy. And say it's getting, we'll end up probably getting used to it, because ultimately it's just going to work its way into everyday life, because that's what, when you talk about fire, electricity, they may have taken maybe a little bit longer, but still in a relatively quick space of time, AI is just doing that.
And often we don't need to know how it works. So I still don't know how a television works. No. I don't know how I can watch a football match on television that's taking place on the other side of the world, and it looks just like, I don't know how the technology works. I just know it does, and I don't need to know how it works because I can just watch it.
Yeah, I can chuck on ITV and the football's there or whatever.
And that's the same with AI. We won't need to know how it works. We just need to know how we're going to use it and how it can help us.
Yeah,
or how it can entertain us, or how it can change our lives.
Yeah, and it will. It ultimately will. Yeah. So we touched on earlier about maybe drawbacks, or because there'll be people out there that. And again, we've spoken, I'm sure you have as well, spoken to a few people that are a little bit skeptical, a little bit worried about using it or the implications of using it and all this sort of stuff. So is there anything to be worried about? Say you mentioned the image, the imagery sort of, you've got Donald Trump looking like the Pope, stuff like that's ludicrous, and there will be people that will do some crazy things. So is that something that we need to be worried about? Maybe small businesses, maybe not so much, but maybe.
As a society, yes, we should be worried, and we should be trying to make sure that AI has the right values and values human life on a global scale.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, then we could be in danger. And we've all seen films where the robots go wrong and don't do the right things. But there are lots of risks, but the same as there are with fire and electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something to be skeptical about.
No.
If you imagine somebody at the birth of the internet going, well, I'm internet skeptic, I'm not going to use it. 10 years later, they wouldn't really have had a choice.
No.
And certainly 20 years later, or where we are now, most people don't, I just don't use the internet because I don't use anything that streams, I don't use anything that's wireless. I like things I can plug in. We don't talk like that anymore.
No.
But we're skeptical of them when they first come out. So there's no point being skeptical. It's here, it's not going away, it's all across the world. Privacy is important. So be aware, if you use ChatGPT, it says in the terms and conditions that they can take whatever you put into it and use it as part of their what they call training material. So it goes into the whole vast knowledge database. So we don't want to be putting personal information in there too much. We don't want to be putting private information, business sensitive information in there. So you've got to be careful what you're putting into it and how you're using it. Mm-hmm. Will it take our jobs? It'll change our jobs. Yeah. Certainly. When you add in things like robotics and computer vision, there are very few jobs that at some point AI plus another technology won't be able to do.
Right.
We've seen robots laying tiles and laying bricks, robots used in care. We already see computer vision used in the NHS. It's used quite a lot in healthcare.
Yeah.
Because it's much better at looking at X-rays and MRI scans than humans are. It can pick things out much better, and it doesn't get tired towards the end of the day. It doesn't go, this is another one to look at. And so it doesn't miss stuff because they're tired. So again, it can't treat it. It can't make the ultimate decision, but it can point out to the consultant, have a look at this one. Yeah. And that's a key element of what it can do at the moment.
It's going to save them a lot of time, maybe going through people that aren't, maybe don't need, the don't need that half an hour appointment when they're coming in. So suddenly you're freeing up 2-3 hours worth of this consultant's time that they can spend treating people that are maybe more in need at that time. So
privacy is an issue, security is an issue, it changing the way we work and not being worried about that, but trying to embrace it is an issue. Onto big societal issues. When it's doing so much of this work, what are we going to be doing? Where is our money going to come from? How do we stop it? It's going to be used in warfare. AI drones that can go and fight wars for the USA or China. It's going to change warfare. It's going to change every aspect. So there are big picture things that we could worry about, but should we? Or should we just get on with what we're doing and focus? You mentioned Mo Gawdat, and the first book I read about AI a couple of years ago was called Scary Smart by Mo Gawdat. And I think that's what it is. It's scary smart. So it's a bit scary, but it's very smart.
Yeah, I'd say it's going to. It's one of those things I just think we're going to probably get used to it. In that it's going to become part of our everyday lives. There will be, the big, big corporations that are going to use it for certain things, and some of what they use it for won't affect us. Some of it will.
Yeah.
But
that happens at the moment with social media, with the internet. They're controlled by large organizations. They're controlled by the Gates, Zuckerberg's, Jobs, Elon Musk, etc. So.
And you think about things like social media. It's again, you couldn't think about when we don't know streaming a football match. How that works, or maybe not. Years ago, social media was like, oh well, we can talk to someone. I can talk to someone from Australia from here. Like that, just message them.
We get used to things very quickly. So if you talk about football, you're watching a football match. When I started watching football, you couldn't press pause and go and make a cup of tea and come back and carry on watching it from where you were.
Yeah.
If you had to go and do something or somebody knocked at the door, you missed some of the match.
Yeah.
And yet it seems obvious to now that we just do that.
Or
we watch it later on, or we can fast forward through to the interesting bits.
Yeah. And we talked thing about with ChatGPT, obviously specifically. I know that's kind of widely used by quite a lot of people, and again, sort of the software that people are dipping their toe in the water with. But things like prompts. So how important are prompts really to get out the right information? Because people can be just putting, asking it anything, and it will pop out what it can do from that. But how important is it that we're prompting with the right?
Prompting is the foundational skill for generative AI. So if you're looking at AI and you're getting into it, and you're getting into generative AI and trying to create text, trying to create content, trying to create images, videos, music, sound, voice, etc., then prompting is the foundational skill to learn. So understanding how to give it instructions.
Yeah.
And Google's got quite a good framework for that, which is if I can remember it, TCREI. So that is task, tell it what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Context, tell it who it is, who the audience is, give it some information around it. References, so that may be telling it where to go and look for information, or it may be giving it previous examples, or you want it to look like, or you want it to sound like somebody. That's the initial prompt. Then once you get that back, you get your result back, the E is evaluate. So have a look at it and see what could be better, how could it be improved. And you can ask ChatGPT, once it's given you an output, how could you make this better? How could this be a better, whatever it is it's given you?
Yeah.
And then the I is iterate. Try it again, do it differently, ask it to do something differently, give it some better instructions, give it a narrower brief or a wider brief, or tell it you want it as a list form. So that TCREI, task, context, reference, evaluate, iterate, is a good framework for it. There are other frameworks out there, but getting used to prompting, that's the foundational skill at the moment to learn.
Yeah, because that will ultimately say impact what you get out. What you put in is what you get out. If you
going back to the when I first started using computers, we had an acronym called GIGO, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah,
and it's all about what you put into it to get out. So
yeah, okay, bro. And in terms of say are there any other sort of platforms or softwares that stand out to you? I know I've heard Midjourney, I think you've mentioned before, as quite a good one.
Yeah, I mean, Midjourney is great at doing images, but now ChatGPT is great at doing images as well. So the image creator in the free ChatGPT is the same as the paid ChatGPT. You just can't do so many of them. So in the free version, you can do 2 to 3 images a day. In the paid version, the pro version, which is about $20 a month, then you can't do unlimited, but it feels like unlimited, because unless you're sitting there all day doing them, you won't run out of them.
Yeah.
So where Midjourney at one point was way better than ChatGPT and being at creating images, now they're just different. But ChatGPT is fantastic, and it does graphics brilliantly. It does text in a picture, which 6 months ago, if you tried to create an image which had some writing in it, it was very disappointing, because it would usually have either a spelling mistake or a foreign, or it would just be gobbledygook. Now it's brilliant at that. So again, it gets better every day. It gets better all the time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, is to keep an eye on different ones. So the best one at the moment for something may not be next week or next month or in 6 months. So we just got to be curious and try different things.
That's the thing. And then say with AI in general, obviously it's moving so quick. It's improving every day. Today is sort of the least intelligent it's going to be.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
getting
Which is
smarter
scary,
every day.
scary smart.
It is, exactly.
And one place to look, there is a resource called futuretools.io.
Okay.
And that's a list of, I think, currently about 3,600 AI tools that people have created for productivity or for picture generation or for email management or whatever. So you can either do a search in there or you can filter on those different types.
Yeah,
So that's one
the
place to
thing.
go and find tools.
It's not just, we talked about ChatGPT, about creating images, maybe putting in prompts, but there's so many different versions of AI in so many ways it can
But people
help.
are using this as a foundation. It's foundational technology, so they're using it as a foundation to build lots of other tools, and that is happening at such a vast rate because, unlike electricity, everybody's got access to it.
Yeah.
When we discovered electricity, there was only a small number of people that knew about it, and it took a long time to become known by a lot of people. This is just out there because most of the world has access to the internet with, satellites and smartphones now, rather than just needing a fixed connection. That most of the people in the world can use AI and can develop on it and try something out and innovate and be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So we're getting more and more tools all the time. So keeping an eye on YouTube, X. There are lots of newsletters. So subscribing to newsletters that will send you a newsletter every day with something new in AI.
Yeah.
And it's just that being curious and making something, I think, make half an hour, make an hour every day to just play with AI and get used to it. So you get it inside here, how it works and what it is and understand it, because that's going to be your foundation moving forward for using it within the business.
And you suddenly find yourself probably ahead of the curve with everyone else because people won't be reading up about it.
And there is what's called the technology adoption curve. It's sort of going like that.
Yeah.
And we're in what's the early adopter phase at the moment. I think for most the businesses that are trying something with it now are in that. They're not quite the innovators, but they're the early adopters.
Yeah.
So you're ahead of the game if you're starting to use it in your business. We still talk to a lot of businesses, a lot of people who don't know anything about it.
No.
It scares me. I was talking to somebody, and it was somebody in education, but I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago and just said, oh, well, let's just try this in ChatGPT and show you what it can do. And it's amazing if you've never seen it.
Yeah.
And they said, what? And what's that called again? How do you spell that? And literally, they'd never heard of ChatGPT. That's, to me, that sounds a bit amazing, but I think a lot of people haven't still.
But they probably haven't, I guess.
Because they're too busy.
Exactly.
Because they're too busy doing the day-to-day. And this comes back to where we started, which is, running a business, there's so much to do and you can get so sucked into the day-to-day and the tasks that you have to do. Sometimes you're going to step back and go, wow, this is a new foundational technology that is going to transform that 5-year business. It's going to look very different for everybody because of AI. So if you're not getting your head around it now, it's going to whack you on the back of the head in 2 years' time.
It's going to give you quite a surprise when you get, say,
when your competitors use it, and suddenly they can do the same thing as you, but for half the cost, so they can get twice as many customers. And
they're suddenly doing it, and they've got much more time on their hands to do more.
So the most dangerous thing is to think, I can't do my job.
Yeah.
Because whoever you are, and especially if you're a knowledge worker, if you're an accountant or a solicitor or a business coach, or if you work with information and knowledge, they're the first people that AI is coming after.
Yeah. So for people then, I guess to finish on, if people sort of going away, they've watched, listened to your vast knowledge, what should they go away and do? What should they go away? If they should go and research, say sign up maybe to a few newsletters. What is it that they should go away and do just to get ahead?
It is just be curious. So go to ChatGPT and see what it can do, but have a look at YouTube. Just search for AI videos on YouTube. There are hundreds, if not thousands, coming out every day of people showing you how to do things and what it does and what they've discovered. And just give it a try and see what it can do.
Yeah, dedicate a bit of time to doing that.
Or have a chat to me or you, Ash.
Oh, well, exactly.
I love talking about AI now.
I know, yeah. Well,
I could talk all day.
I know, I love talking to you about it. I remember, say, with this when you mentioned, about fire and electricity, that sort of stuff. That was a sort of economic growth conference. That Will at Newcastle Sherwood District Council put together. I remember being sort of sat in that room, and when you mentioned that, I remember sitting there going, "Wow!" And that was my first indication of, okay, wow, this is big.
It is big. I think that's, we've got to appreciate that. This isn't a new piece of software. It's not, a new Excel that's been put out by somebody, or it's not the new Microsoft thing. This is foundational. This is transformational.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's going to be so important. So important. Well, Thank you very much, David.
Thank
for
you,
coming
Ash.
on,
It's been great to talk to you as ever.
Giving us a bit of a deeper insight into AI. It's been great to have you on. So there you have it. David has given us a vast amount of knowledge. So go ahead, do some research into AI because it's coming and coming quick. Join us again in a few weeks where me and Dan will be going through another marketing topic here on Marketing Matters.